Welcome to this video entitled Growing Your Account. Over the years, many people have asked me what's the best way to grow an account, to scale it up, to handle more contracts when we're looking at the futures or commodity instruments. What I did over the years is I've developed something that I was comfortable with using a certain amount of capital. We offer, Pro Futures Group offers several methodologies depending on the style of trading that you have. And within each of those methodologies, we offer this overview to understand how we're trying to scale your account or grow your account up so that you can move either if you're working for a full-time person or if you are already an established futures trader but want to generate more income. A lot of times I see a lot of traders where they'll start out maybe trading 3-5 contracts, and over 4 years they're maybe at 25, and they really haven't moved up, and that always confused me. So that's okay if they choose to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. They feel comfortable with it. But when we start to look at it from an analytical perspective, there are limits in certain contracts that we could go to. But we want to use the example of the S&P 500. And so let's take a look at this spreadsheet and how this would work if you were going to utilize this. Once you go through a methodology of ours, if you were a beginner, I'm going to look at it from that perspective. And what we do is we usually tell folks that obviously you need to have a firm grasp on the methodology. If you're in the chat room, you're seeing other people trade the method. You're having additional help throughout the week, but you have an overview of it, and once you feel comfortable, then you start trading. Once you do that, we say start out with doing simulator. Make sure that we work out all the kinks. Then on the S&P 500, it's awesome that you're able to trade the micros, which the micros basically pay $5 per point. You probably already know this from this perspective, such as the minis pay $50. You would need $500 buying capital to trade within the day to trade the S&P 500 minis, and $50 to trade the S&P micros. So once you get comfortable on the simulator, then you would go to the micros and grow the account to get to the S&P 500 minis. So let's use the example of $1,500 if you started out with that and we were trading the S&P micros. So at that perspective, what this spreadsheet does is it creates risk management, so to speak, or actually calculates buying power for you. We're going to use 35% of the total funds that you have available. You are not risking that amount, you're just using it for buying power. Typically on my specific methodology for contextual trading, you could have 2 positions on at one time. You'll never have more than that. And if you do, then it's still set up to utilize the 35%. So the 35% calculates to total share size, or I should say cars that you could have on, which would be 10.5. So what we want to do, because we're going to have 2 positions on, is that we divide it in half, so you would have 5. Generally, when you're starting out, we're looking for you to make a minimum of 8 points. We consider that a minimum. There's no reason that you cannot make anywhere from 15 up to 50 in a day once you understand the methodology and you follow it correctly. But in this example, we will just use 8. So as we're following this, if you made 8 in this day, you would make $200. And that's what we'd be looking for. Again, if you had 2 positions on, maybe you end up taking 5 points out of both of those. Generally, the methodology talks about taking it to 5 points depending on what the market is set up to do, and then continuing on for a swing trade. But through this, if you just played the scalping positions over and over throughout the day, there's no reason you wouldn't make more than 8 points. What I do is I look to double my account every week. I know that seems hard for folks, but as we go through this, you'll see how obtainable it actually is once you understand the methodology and follow it correctly. So I'll just keep using 8 points here. So the next day with it, I could have 11.9, but that doesn't fit as far as an equal division, so I'll stick with the 5. Then we have 8, it's the same deal. Now the next day I could have 6 on. If I have 6 on, I'll just keep going through the process. You see what's happening here. 7 on the next one. Here's 8. It's adding it up. Now I could have 8. This is the first week when it's done. So in this example, you would basically be at 62% of your account growing it. So to do or make more than this can happen very fast. We want you to obviously have a positive week as you do that. Like I said, you could have 3 trades that work right away. It could take 10 minutes. It could take 30 minutes. You might be there for 3 hours. There'll be more trades in 3 hours. But if you just did 3 in a day, that's 15 points. And obviously the model would change. But we're trying to scale up and grow it. So as we trust this and look at the numbers from that perspective, we continue our second week. And that I could have 9 on. And we'll stay here with the 8. I'll do some calculations here too as if we had bad days of how this would work. So here now we could have 10, 12, 13, and we're finishing our second week of trading. And here we would have 15 on, and if we had 8, you can see the account ended up going to 5,100. Total for your account after 2 weeks would be 157% that you have made. Now that you've moved from $1,500 to $5,000, you could move to the S&P 500. It makes sense. The minis there instead of the micros. It makes sense to do that. And then actually from a psychological perspective, it doesn't feel that heavy, because at 15 you're like, should I take some off, should I not? But now that we've changed and move over, you can see here that we're not quite at 4, but it's okay to play 2 in this time, and we'll grow the account as we're doing this. So here we legitimately can have 2 on, could have 2 positions again. But we're just following the structure, and you can see how fast your account starts to grow. So we will stick here with the same amount. The numbers go up fast if you're able to do that. And here we'll just stick with it again, since that's the model. So at that third week, we would still be at 2, but you can see that you're making $800 per day. If you make $400 a day, you are making over $100,000 a year. And now at this perspective, you can see we're going to start substantially moving our account in the right direction. So here would be 3 again. Sticking with 3. Now we go to 4. We're about to finish our final week for the month. Here we would have 5 on. Could have a possible of 10 on, but you see what's happening with the account. So now we move the account up to $16,000 in a month from $1,500. I know we've all looked at this and we felt that it might have been something that we wanted to have. That's why we trade the futures market instead of stocks, because of the leverage. The leverage could hurt you. If you have a winning methodology and you follow it correctly and you stick to the rules, it's very rare that somebody fails with the methodologies that we teach. There are things that happen every once in a while, but if you stay patient and you wait for it, then it's very feasible to start moving up. This is just in this time frame, so you're up 1,000% on your account in a month. Most people feel comfortable with that. Making $2,000 is basically $500,000 a year. So this is in a good example. I'll stop with that. Is actually, I had mentioned, I'll go back, wait a minute, we could take some losses out of here on the sheet. So we could change this. Let's say we lost 4 here, so only allows me to have 6 on. You can see it changes. Let's say that this day I lose 2 when I could have 7 on, and then we're back up over here. Now I can't have 7, so even if it takes you a while, here's 8. Let's be beneficial here. This would be 7, and let's say at this time I had a good day. Now I'm at 19, so actually be 9. That's in there, and let's say that I have a losing day. bouncing around. That's okay. We would work on what we call the demon finder to stop you from doing the things that are happening or how you're mismanaging the market. Again, if you're in the chat room, it helps out. So from this perspective, we would be back to 6 here, and we make the 8, and we're moving up. So even in taking these losses here, you can see that we're not at 5,000, but if it was 2 weeks and you weren't able to move from the micros to the minis, that would be okay. You would still be up 100% while taking some losses throughout the week. We want to have more wins than we do losers. So I just wanted to share this with the public of how to scale your account. If you are interested in learning more about Pro Futures Group, you can visit us on the website at profuturesgroup.com or contact us through the YouTube channel that you're viewing this on. Learn more about the services that we offer, the methodologies. We have several, and we can speak with you and see if it makes sense for you to follow some of the methods that we follow.